Yes, guys, and a welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102. Player disruption. Now, I'm sure at some point of playing CM, we've all had this, haven't we? Players being a disruptive influence, blah, blah, blah. We're all thinking Anelka here, aren't we? We're all thinking Nicholas Anelka. And there's a lot of theories out there, really. Some people don't think it plays an effect. Some people say it does. It makes the rest of the team. I'll give you my thoughts on it, and it is only my thoughts on it. You know, I'm not saying that this is definitely the case because, you know. So we'll take Anelka as an example here. Anelka would be unhappy. I know Anthony's unhappy because he wants to lifestyle. We'll get to that in a minute. So Anelka will be unhappy because he wants to move to a bigger club, right? And the time when he becomes a disruptive influence is when a player fuels a move. He's announced he wants to make a move. Not when the agent says it, when the player says it. He's fueled a move, he wants to make a move. Now, depending on what you do to that, you could either agree that he's going soon or say that he's not going soon. If you... whichever you say, the player might still be happy, but other players will instantly, like a sort of in-game editor, that player becomes a dislike. So let's just pretend, right, Rashford has just fueled a move, right? Anthony would probably then say dislikes Marcus Rashford, thinks he's a disruptive influence, and blah, blah, blah. Now, a bit like Anelka, really. Anelka will still score you shitloads of goals. Whether he's unhappy, whether he's transfer listed by request, blah, 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 blah. They will still score you goals, as will the player that is disliking him. The problem is, right, the biggest issue you've got when a player is a disruptive influence is you are almost, if Rashford did fuel a move, I am sort of going to be forced to selling him because Anthony will not sign a new contract, and probably anybody else that needs a new contract. If they don't like Rashford, I'll need to give them. So let's say Maguire, Diallo, Ericsson, blah, blah, blah. You know, and they're not going to sign a new deal. You are essentially going to be forced to sell them. So one of my sort of things that I do when I play any sort of CM game, I want my contracts done at the start of the season because that might happen. You know, it is because that might happen. So, you know, they are a disruptive influence. The players, you know, Anelka is a plain example, really, on the ODB that he will score you shitloads everywhere. You know, there's a lot of things that some people think that this is all bullshit. You know, on that same subject, if you look at morale, you know, you could have here, let's say Garnacho. Garnacho starts superb. I play a game. He scores 2 goals and assists 1. He gets a 10. Next thing, he's down to good. And you're like, what the fuck? You know, there's nothing, you know, so I'm not really sure. That being said, I've seen it firsthand that when players are unhappy, they're not, when they are very low on morale, they do start performing shit. They really do. Now, I'll give you an example here about Anthony here. Finding it hard to adjust to the English lifestyle. For me, right, if providing you've got him under contract, that will just disappear. That will disappear. He won't sign a new contract whilst that's the case. They say in the manual and shit, buy another Brazilian. Well, that's bullshit, isn't it? Because maybe it's because I've just started this game, I don't know. But that's bullshit because we've got more than one Brazilian, haven't we? So if you look at that, we've got Casemiro. So, you know, for me, that's just a little bit of bollocks, really. But that it will go. It will disappear. There's absolutely no doubt about that. You know, I was hoping I might find somebody else that's unhappy, but they say that you just buy another player from that same nation. Not really sure that's really the case, because you could argue, right, someone from Brazil's unhappy, just get somebody from South America, or somebody from Portugal's unhappy, get a Brazilian because he speaks Portuguese. You know, it's very here or there, so I'm not really too fussed about that. But as for the disruption side of things, that's just, you know, a player can be a disruption, but he will still perform. And you don't get confused here to when you're getting differences between the agent fueling a move and the player. Now, if a player fuels a move, right, let's say Martinez has fueled a move, and I've said, no, he's not going anywhere. I then fine him, for unprofessional behaviour, and he accepts it. And quite often they will, it's probably 50-50, but they'll accept it, right? But even though they've accepted that they shouldn't have done their outburst, that does not deter the fact that other people now dislike him. And it's very difficult how to get those players to end up liking him. So let's say Rashford's done it, and I've warned Rashford, and he's accepted it. Mount suddenly dislikes Rashford, but it's very hard for them to get to like him again. Now, the game isn't sophisticated enough to know that if I sold Rashford to Barcelona, and then next season, Barcelona then make an offer for Mason Mount. Mason Mount thinks, brilliant, Barcelona. But it's in the editor, or it's probably becoming the editor now, in the Save Game editor, that he dislikes Rashford. So whilst he ends up at Barcelona, he's with Rashford again. And that's what happens on long-term games as well with yourself, you see. That's why, when you sell a player, if I sell Rashford because everyone thinks he's a disruptive influence, I sell him, and then I buy him again, it ain't going to be long before people dislike him. You know, what will happen in that case, right? Let's pretend I sell Rashford and I then buy him back. Bruno Fernandes has got him as a disliked teammate, but then I sign him back. He hasn't fueled a move. It will suddenly say Bruno Fernandes wants a transfer because he dislikes one of the other players. It will say dislikes one of the other teammates. That's the difference. It will say teammates unless he's done something specific. And of course, when a player does ask for a transfer, so let's say Fernandes, he does ask me for a transfer, and you say no, he'll probably ask several times in a row. Personally, just say yes. Let him go on the market, just don't sell him. If you say no, particularly more than once, you run the risk of him going AWOL, and then you are fucked. So just say yes and don't sell the cunt. Of course, there is still that element that you may reject a move for him, and he may say he's decided not to return because of his recently. That can happen, but that's less likely to happen than what it is if you keep rejecting a transfer request. And that's it from me, guys. If you've got anything to add, let me know. Till next time, take it easy.